Speaking of demographics, immigration, Mexico, I think that there are probably going to be a few questions here. But
Always are.
first, yeah, how do the very topical recent deportations, ICE raids in LA, the revocation of student visas all figure into your larger perspective on America's role in the world and deglobalization?
So three intertwined topics there. First, our role in the world. The United States is in the process of going through a broad spectrum surrender of international power from a military, economic, culture, and strategical point of view. We're pulling out of NATO. We're ending the Fulbright program. We're ending technical cooperation with all of our allies. We're allowing the Russians to run roughshod. We're putting a trade policy in place that is encouraging the Chinese to be predatory in their region. These are all things that when we look back on this in 20, 30, 40, 50 years, we're going to be like, well, that was really fucking stupid. Not that I thought all of these things were going to last a long time, but to just pull the cord and walk away is something that for generations we're going to be paying for. Just to pick one example, if you want to project power into the Eastern Hemisphere, you need a place to launch from. And if you end all of your alliances, you now need to do it off the back of a ship like we did for the early days of 9/11 before we convinced Pakistan that they had to be part of our solution. That costs 2 orders of magnitude more per troop on the ground. So now, in order to maintain the military procedures that we have become used to in these last 30 years, we need to increase our defense spending to $5 trillion. That's the only way to make it work. That's idiotic when you could just say, base out of Turkey. Okay, so that's kind of step one. That's our very real problem. And there's nothing we can do about this at this point because our political system is offline and Trump can do whatever the hell he wants. And he is. Second, the demographic and the immigration side of things on the high end. The United States has the world's best universities and the world's best research facilities, and Trump is in the process of trying to destroy several of them, with Columbia and Harvard being at the top of the list. The Boston Research Corridor is the most innovative sector of the global system. And if Trump has his way, there will be no international students in Harvard. That's 25% of enrollment. And this has been where the United States basically imports IQ from the rest of the world and has been for well over a century. This is where we have made the greatest concentration of scientific breakthroughs, which has generated on average over $1 trillion of economic activity in the United States every year for 50 years. Breaking that matters hugely. As for what's going on in LA, that's a different basket. We have not had meaningful immigration reform since Reagan. Every time one party tries to work at it, the other party sabotages it for political reasons. The most recent example was the Biden administration trying to do it, and Trump from out of office telling everyone who was a Republican Congress to vote it down because he didn't want Biden to get a win. Not the first time that has happened, not the only time that has happened, and it's not always been right sabotaging left. We've gone both ways. What that means is that we have an underclass in this society, which based on your numbers is somewhere between 8 and 15 million people that technically, by existing, are illegal. And if you want to enforce the laws as they are currently on the books, activating the National Guard to go after them is a legal option, a legal prerogative for the president. Not saying it's a great idea, but by the book, it's correct. What we need is immigration reform. What we need is a more regularized immigration system that encourages would-be immigrants to cooperate with the legal system rather than try to evade it. And in that, the Trump administration has gone the opposite direction, and not just with this LA stuff. One of the things that Trump promised during the elections is he was going to go after everybody who was a lawbreaker and focus on the criminals. If you treat immigration enforcement as a law issue, then you investigate, you identify the people who have committed the crimes and what those crimes are, and then you go after them one at another. You can do that. But that takes a massive expansion in law enforcement, and each arrest is one person. You cannot deport millions of people that way. You deport hundreds of people that way, and that's what we saw in the first 2 to 3 months of his term. He wanted the numbers. He wanted the splash. So the Trump administration started telling federal law enforcement, so don't go after the criminals anymore. Just go after them, illegal immigrants, wherever they are. So they started going to markets, they started going to churches, and my personal favorite, they started going to court hearings where people were having their immigration hearings to see if they could stay legally and arresting them before they got before the judge because they knew the people had to be there. So they prioritized the people who were socially integrating, who were following the system, and who were trying to follow the law. And what that has done is scared the entire community underground and made them perfect recruits for organized crime of all flavors, generating exactly the crisis that he said he wanted to stop. Dumb, 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 dumb.